welcome to another Tabletop Games blog review. Today we're looking at Wingspan by Stonemaier Games and designed by Elizabeth Hargrave. It's a 1 to 5 player action selection, resource management, hand management type of game. It takes about 45 to 90 minutes and has a complexity of about 2.5 out of 5, so age is about 10 plus. Now, I've been saying this for a very long time. Wingspan is absolutely amazingly beautiful. There's definitely a great physical table presence created by the dice tower and the beautiful eggs. Of course, the gorgeous illustrations on the player mats and the cards, and just the sheer quantity of different birds. There's 170 different bird cards, 170 different birds, all with Latin names and a brief description of what they are. And of course, the high quality of all the components and parts makes the whole game very special. The artists, Maria Martinez Jaramillo, Natalia, Rojas and Beth Sobel, and apologies, I'm sure I've mispronounced some of these names. They've done an amazing job, and of course Stonemaier Games has ensured that the whole product meets and probably exceeds everyone's expectations. However, it's not the beauty and the quality that are the main thing about this game. They're just one part of what makes this game so outstanding. For me, it is the gameplay that lifts Wingspan to the next level. As soon as you start playing the game, you get a real sense of the trials and tribulations that your birds face every day. At the beginning of the game, the bird feeder's full of food, bursting almost, but it soon gets depleted as everyone takes their turn, and eventually it fills up again. This really beautifully mimics the change of seasons and the ebb and flow of food as it would be in nature. As supplies dwindle, the general bird population becomes weaker and of course an easier target for your birds of prey, who can finally get what they need to survive. Some of your birds of prey have large hunting grounds and will sometimes dip into the Cartake for potential targets. There also never seem to be enough eggs in your habitat to support a healthy population. As soon as a few eggs are laid, they are needed for the next generation of birds, which of course require more food, depleting the bird feeder even more quickly. As your nature reserve thrives, it attracts more birds who hope to nest there themselves, yet there's always, as we said, a limited supply of food. That means you have to decide which birds you entice into your sanctuary and which ones you turn away. Luckily, some of the rejected birds are able to join flocks of birds already established in your beautiful reserve, so it's not all bad. So there's a lot going on in Wingspan, but the game doesn't feel complex. In the first round, there are only so many decisions you can make. Chances are you need food, so you have to gather food to play your birds. And then, as you play more birds, you need eggs, so you have to lay eggs. The game really sort of eases you into the gameplay, guiding your decision process, because, if you need food, you need to gather food, and if you need to have some eggs to play birds, you need to lay eggs. It allows less experienced players to find their way into the game and learn to play it, and of course introduces them to resource management, action selection and hand management mechanisms that they might otherwise not have known. Yet, as the rounds go on, the complexity of course increases. The number of options increases and you have to start planning much further ahead. Making your food gathering action more powerful, for example, you have to play birds into the woodland area, and that's important. But of course so is increasing your egg production with grassland birds. And they are both pointless unless you have birds in your hand, so to improve your card drawing ability, you have to get birds into your wetlands. So it's really for advanced players at this stage who will start to focus on which birds are played in what order, because sometimes actually playing one bird could, for example, give you an extra egg when they have like a when played ability, and then you can use that eggs on your next bird, which then might give you food you need to play a third bird, and so on. Whatever you do, you have to start planning ahead carefully to get really good benefits from every action you take. And as I say, this is what probably will attract people who like heavier games. Yet, at the same time, it's pretty much impossible to keep an eye on everything. On top of the resources and the birds, there's the end of round goals and end game bonuses. And I don't think there are many people who will be able to really control everything at once. So you will have to ignore some things and put your focus on something else. If you don't, you will probably make costly mistakes, and that means players who make decisions more intuitively without thinking many steps ahead will have an equal chance of winning the game as players used to heavy games. There's also a good amount of chance in Wingspan. The food available in the bird feeder is decided by dice rolling. What birds are available is based on a shuffled deck of cards, and which end of round and end of game bonuses are out there is also random. It, I think, makes thematic sense because, in nature, even if you do everything you can to keep your birds in your reserve happy, a sudden cold snap, for example, in spring can make food inaccessible and reduce the chance of birds being able to support a large brood later in the year. And it is this chance that further levels the playing field, allowing players with different kinds of games experience enjoy Wingspan together with, all sorts of levels. Of course, the quality of the components and the beauty of the illustrations are absolutely outstanding, and that really rounds off a really good game. I think for a game that is about appreciating birds and nature, it has to be visually appealing. Otherwise, if the cards were, say, showing just generic images of birds and maybe the components were just simple wooden cubes, all of them, then the game wouldn't look so well and wouldn't work so well. However, in Wingspan, the gameplay, illustrations and components work perfectly together, make an absolutely amazing game. It is in fact our new favourite game. We've played it many times now. It constantly allows us to find new birds and adapt to new conditions, created by the natural randomness of the dice and cards and bonuses. And it's a pleasure to pick eggs of the colour you imagine the birds lay and place them on top of the cards. It's satisfying to look at the illustrations of the birds and learn a little about each one. The game is such a joy to play, and if you ever get a chance to play Wingspan, then I'd say give it a go. Whatever type of player you are, I'm confident you will enjoy it. So thanks again very much for joining me in this episode of Wingspan Review. If you like this episode, please subscribe, like and comment below. Also check out my blog, the Twitter feed, the Patreon and Ko-fi pages, links obviously in the description below. But other than that, I hope you join me again soon.